Hello and welcome to the Penno Channel for the big one, the match preview for Aston Villa versus PSG in the Champions League. As always, I'm joined by my bro to go through it, but also we're joined by Earl, AVFC scout himself. Thank you, Earl, so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. Hope you're good. How you keeping?
Yeah, I'm well. I'm well. Really looking forward to this game, as I'm sure everyone is. So, yeah, just buzzing for it.
How you doing, bro? You all good?
Yeah, I started to get a bit nervous now. Yes, now the Forest game's passed. Now it's just like full focus on Paris Saint-Germain. Like, yeah, I'm ready. I just can't wait for the game now.
I'm excited, but I've got trepidation, anxious as well. Like, there's so many feelings going into this one now because for me, it's the biggest game I'll have seen as a Villa fan. Champions League quarterfinal. Do you know in the Champions League, usually every year when you're watching it, when it gets to the quarterfinal stage, that's when everyone starts honing in across the world really and starts watching it because you've got the big clubs, the big sides playing. And for us to be one of the 8 teams to be in that position, it's crazy. It's still crazy to me. And I think it won't really set in until kick off on Wednesday. I really don't. But we're going against one of those sides over the last decade or so who've been trying to get their first star, been trying to win the competition. That's one thing we do have over them currently. We are winners. They're not. That's not part of their history. But they've tried it in so many different ways. And this time they've tried it with a new approach, and they are trying to do so with a new approach. Um, Before we get onto us as such, what are your thoughts on PSG and how they've kind of transitioned from being that team that weren't too great in the early stages of the competition to now being backed as one of the favourites to win the competition now?
Yeah, I think it just comes from being a young team. Really, they've got it's like you said before. It's been a big shift from the superstars of the past, whereas now they've got obviously high quality players, but it's a lot of young players. So it's kind of expected from them. They kind of started off slow, but they've been getting better and better throughout the season, I think.
Yeah, what are you thinking, bro, about PSG and the change? Because again, in the league's format, they weren't really rated at all. They had some poor performances within that, but that result against City, I think, was a real game changer and really made people aware when had that comeback. And then from that point onwards, obviously the games against Liverpool both being standouts, especially the one at Parc De Princes. Or do you think of their changing fortunes in the competition and how they're now like backed as heavy favourites and again alongside Real Madrid and Barcelona?
Yeah, I think Earl made a great point. It's a lot younger squad. I think just adding on to that point, it's the connection with the French youth that I'm liking a lot, like Desideri, Bradley Barcola, Zaire Emery, that they've really like changed from like the superstar Messi, Neymar type approach and like really like focused on getting that French core. Kolo Muani was there as well, who got loaned out to Juventus, but he's another example of that. And yeah, like it seems like they've peaked later on into the competition as opposed to like
Yeah.
starting strong. And I think that's probably one of the best ways to do it. Like you'd rather peak later on into the competition than peak early. And they look really good. Like they look really good. I think this is the most complete side we've seen from Paris Saint-Germain. Not only in terms of like their approach, but their identity now. Like you can see what Luis Enrique is trying to do with them. And the thing about PSG is they're solid in all positions. Their defense is really good. Their midfield's like elite. And then they've got three-way threat up front in Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, and Ousmane Dembele, who's been a menace in the league this season. I think he's got like 20 plus goals. So yeah, I think this is one of the best PSG sides of the last decade that we'll be facing.
Yeah, for sure. Just on Luis Enrique himself, I saw some comments he made about Villa, and he stated last season Villa were a top side, and this season they've been able to develop on that with the squad, and they're still a top side. So he's come out and basically shown us a lot of respect, which is nice to hear as well. I don't think they'll be taking us lightly, and I don't think Luis Enrique is a coach that does that. Um, Luis Enrique, we know of his past experiences, Barcelona manager, Spain manager. He's very diligent as well. And I know a lot of it's been made of Unai Emery and his game plan and how he has a game plan for teams in Europe as well. But I think Luis Enrique will have studied us a lot as well and will really pose a threat and plan and prepare for how he's going to set up against us as well. So yeah, just your thoughts on like Luis Enrique and him as a manager. Do you think he's one of the top managers in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, if you've won a Champions League, you've got that status forever. So yeah, he's definitely up there. And like you say, I'm quite happy with the respect that he's paid to the Villa, because it just shows how far we've come. And so I don't think there'll be any kind of complacency from his point of view. You might get some PSG fans and etc. who might come in and see they've got Villa and think it's an easy win, but it's our job to make sure it's not.
Yeah, for sure. And what about you, Bob? And Luis Enrique, top manager for you? How do you feel about it?
I think this is one of the best. This is probably the team we've seen him like put his identity on the most. I think, where like he's been able to mold the team in his vision. But it makes me laugh, like, when like a manager praises the opposition team, like our fans will be like, it's mind games. Like sometimes it's just like him telling the truth, and it's not always like some cynical angle to it. Like, and it is true. I think our team is more complete than last year. Like, we've added real quality and experience to the side in January. So yeah, I think quite the same facts. And even some PSG fans, like I've seen some that are arrogant, but I've seen some as well, just like Asensio, Emery, like Luca Dean's playing as well. He used to play for us. Like, let's not underestimate Aston Villa. Like, I've seen some people getting all our like wins in the fixture column and just be like, hang on a minute, like these are doing well. So, bro, these things matter, I think, like for narrative, for momentum. So, yeah, and we're definitely gonna respect PSG. Like, Emery's probably been telling them for the past like 2 weeks. I think Morgan Rogers was already like, we're gonna have to suffer against PSG. Like, that sounds like something Emery's told him in these meetings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I can't wait for the game. But on Enrique, yeah, top manager.
Yeah, going into this one, PSG haven't lost in their last 6. They've won all 6 of those games. We haven't lost in our last 8. We've won all of those games. So form for both sides is top as well. Obviously, PSG on the weekend, they secured League One as well. So if anything, all their eggs now are in Champions League. That's it. That's their full focus, which makes it a bit more difficult for us as well, because in the games in between, they'll have full rest. They'll be ready to go and fully prepared. Whereas we've got a trip to Southampton. I know Southampton recently been relegated, and their manager's left his position this morning, but they'll have a new manager in that point. Some clubs have new manager bounces, so we'll still have to be prepared for that game. Going to
I didn't even see
St.
that.
Mary's.
I didn't even know.
Yeah. This morning he's left. So again,
So
that's another position. But
classic Villa, that is.
Yeah, the classic bit happened.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, left this morning. But I think this season with David Moyes, I think, Everton, we got them out of the way at the right time, because since then their form's picked up. We played them in his first game and got that one out of the way and got the 3 points. I think Graham Potter as well in the FA Cup, he worked in our favour as well. So,
nice. It's just funny, bro. My nerves have shifted from PSG now back to Southampton.
Sorry to break the news. Sorry to be Sky Sports here.
I'm missing that.
So 3 players, and before we get into Villa again, and we'll mix in between 3 players who are the biggest threats, who can be the biggest threats against Villa from PSG. Or who's your thoughts and how they can really cause problems to Villa and Unai Emery?
Well, the first one's probably Vitinha. There's a lot of hype around him at the minute, and rightly so. So he's kind of like all 3 of their central midfielders are top class, but he's probably the standout from that central midfield, I would say. Just kind of makes them tick, gets them going. He'll have the most touches, the most passes. He'll drop back into the defensive line to play the ball out. He'll get further forward. So he's kind of their main player that will make them tick and get them going. And then outside of that, I quite like Hakimi, their right back. I think he's good on both sides of the game, so he can get forward. He can defend as well. He's probably a bit of an underrated defender, and he contributes a lot to their attack, because he can be that width on the right, or also come inside as well and play that underlapping role. And then the main one as well is Ousmane Dembele. He's a striker for them, you could say, false 9, maybe more of a winger, attacking midfielder naturally. but yeah, just because of the role that he plays, kind of that false nine, he causes defenders a lot of trouble because drops into those midfield areas, kind of between the lines. You don't know whether you're supposed to go with him, stay, and then you've got the runners in behind him as well. So yeah, there's a lot of good players, but I'd say those are the main three I'll be aware of.
Yeah. Any more, bro, for you, or those three, or any others?
Yeah, spot on. I think those are the main three. I'll probably add another player, but just to touch on Dembele, like O made a great point. When he drops into midfield, it's going to be such a difficult equation to weigh up whether we chase him or whether we back off with our centre backs, assuming it's going to be Konza and Mings or Konza and Pa, because he's going to drop deep into midfield and he's going to try and overload our front three. Or our midfield three, sorry. So say if it's Kamara, Tillemans, and then you'd expect Rodgers to be in there as well. He's going to drop deep and he's going to try and cause issues. I'll add another player and just go Barcola. I think as a winger, if Vitinha gets the ball or any of those midfielders, Dembele normally will like stay in an offside position, and Barcola will make that run in behind and then cut back for Dembele, who can't be offside, and that's how they've been scoring a lot of their goals. So he's a good player, man. He's a really good player. He's coming to his own. I think they signed him from Lyon, right? Where he was good, but not as consistent as he's showing now. And again, it just touches on that French core, that young French core that they've been trying to take advantage of. So yeah, he's a top player. And then bro, Kvaratskhelia, like from Napoli.
That's the one. Yeah.
Quavadana, man. Like that's what they called him, didn't they? At Napoli. Touch, passing, ability to cut inside, which we can't allow any of their wingers to do. So the fact they've got a three-way threat up front, we're going to have to be so focused, so laser focused. That shape's going to have to be amazing. Don't be surprised if we see a 5-back, 6-back at some points in the game as well. So yeah, I'd touch on them two attackers.
Yeah, as you're saying, I think Kvaratskhelia, just in person watching him, that's the one player I want to see, because having seen him play for Napoli all those years and the ability he's shown, just to see him play, I just like how good he is and how good he seems to be when watching him on TV and stuff like that. Yeah, it's scary. Their threats are scary, but we move on to Villa, and okay, they're an outfit. They played like that against Liverpool, but Villa have had some big performances in this Champions League so far this season, and we relay back to the Bayern Munich game for sure. But I think that's the standout in terms of defensive shape, restricting them to minimal chances, no real big chances at all. Probably the last few minutes, the Harry Kane header was it, which Emery Martinez made that save from. But apart from that, we really restricted them. Do you think Unai will look to play a shape similar to that game? And potentially look for, as he's done in the last few weeks, look to the subs bench to have that killer instinct, to have that one decisive moment, as John Duran did for Bayern Munich, and as substitutes have had for the last few games we played in the Premier League in particular. Do you see that being the case, though? And how do you think Unai can set up to kind of restrict PSG?
Yeah, it's going to be key, especially in the away leg. We're going to have to be defensively solid. They're probably going to have a lot of the ball. So I mean, like you guys mentioned, that having that 5-back or 6-back at times, it's probably going to be pretty necessary, because of the players we've touched on, the wide wingers, they like to create those overloads in the wide areas. So sometimes we can't allow Cash or Dizazi, whoever's at right back, to be one-on-one against the likes of Kvaratskhelia or Barcola. We have to have two people there to double up on them, whether that's like a Ramsey or McGinn, whoever that is who's playing wide midfield. So yeah, I definitely think we'll see something like that, the 5-back or the 6-back. It's going to be massively important. Stop them in them wide areas, but also having the compactness in the middle as well.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's the threats from out wide as well as their movement, their fluidity, and then as well with the midfield, Ruiz, Vitinha, and even João Neves is decent on the ball as well, even though he's more of a workhorse who kind of wins the ball back. There's so many threats, and I think the big one for me is Unai will give them the tactical plan. He will to a T. He will know exactly what they want to do. It's just the players just reciprocating it on the pitch. Then that's the big thing. Can they have full concentration for 180 minutes? Because that's how we got to classify it now. Because in these sorts of games, Champions League, a few minutes of lapses of concentration and the tie could be over. That's how elite the teams are within this competition. So I definitely think concentration for us will be huge because Unai will have positioned them to like a chessboard. Literally, he'll put his pieces and tell them where he wants them to be exactly at certain times within the game, at certain points and in certain situations. It's just about the players, being switched on within that. And I think if we are, and there's no unforced errors from ourselves, I think we've got a very good chance because I think we have dangerous players on transition for sure and in attacking areas, and the likes of Rashford, Asensio, Rodgers, even Ollie Watkins to an extent, we can really cause them problems. And the thing is now with our squad and how it looks, I'm sure PSG and even some of the fans, they're looking at the names who we have in the attacking areas, especially, and be like, okay, this is dangerous. Like Rashford has his history against PSG. They know Marco Asensio inside out. Okay, some of their fans potentially be like, well, he wasn't good enough to get into our side, but we've seen the numbers he's been producing since he's been at Villa as well. Morgan Rogers is now an established, you could say England international for that instance. He's a big name. He's one of the next youngsters who are having the big season. So he'll be well known. And Ollie Watkins, we saw, Euros, he's going to be well known. And he's, even though he's not been to the level he was last season, he's still an absolute threat. So I think if we can concentrate and stick to Unai's game plan, we'll have chances. I think we will. And it's just whether in those situations we can take them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we press as well, because if you watch the Liverpool second leg, Liverpool in the first say 15 minutes were causing them issues with that 4-man press that they do, and Donnarumma's not the best with the ball at his feet, and a lot of the times the kicks were going out for throw-ins. They were using their cover shadow as well to block out the passing lanes to the defenders, to the midfielders. And Paris Saint-Germain, they had to drop Vitinha into centre-back at times to try and get a better player on the ball to get the ball forward. And even he was still struggling, bro, because Liverpool's press was so good. But with Villa, we know we're a 4-4-2 mid-block type side. Would you say our press is passive, or we like to shift across and cover the angles and it? So
yeah,
will we cause Donnarumma that much issues by pressing him intensely? I'm not sure if we will. But I think the key is just don't let Vitinha get on the ball. Try and block off the passing lane team as much as possible, and watch for their centre-back Pacho, who likes to step out with the ball. So say if the keeper passes it to him and we go to press him, or we go to block off the pass to say Mendes, he likes to step out and he'll just run with the ball straight because you're taking out the man. So we got to watch out for that as well, bro. They've got so many different ways of getting up the pitch with as we spoke about, Dembele dropping deep, Neves, Ruiz getting on the ball as well. But I do think if we can win the ball in that midfield battle, which is going to be so important with Kamara, Tielemans, Anfield away earlier this season, Anano and Tielemans' press in midfield was so good, and we were getting a lot of transitions. Ramsey was our best player in that game because he kept on getting the ball and was able to carry the ball a lot as well. So if we can somehow win those midfield battles, I think we might have a chance, because we've always got the out ball in Rashford, and he only takes one pass really to get in behind. And we know Hakimi, he likes to push up. He's rapid defending as well. But I do think there might be space. I don't think PSG are the type of side to just stop playing football, even if they're 1-0 up. I think they'll try and continue to score. So I think we're going to get space, to be honest. And I think that is the key, man. Rashford's, that profile of player, I think it gives us a little advantage in terms of attacking and winning the ball.
Exactly. And we saw against Bruges, he changed the games. Well, the game state was done once Rashford got their player sent off. One simple ball over the top, brought him down. That's it. They're down to 10 men, and it just changed the game. We were comfortable from that point onwards. And that's the threat that Marcus Rashford carries. Thinking about how we'll set up Earl, and we're discussing Marcus Rashford. What do you think the lineup will be then? Big questions being Mings or Pau Torres. fullbacks as well. I think Luka D will come in as at left back, but is it going to be Cash? Is it Disassi on that side? Also, the midfield. I think the midfield is key. Do we really box it out and play more centre midfielders than you might have seen before? Is that a Nana, Kamara, Tillemans, McGinn as well, all playing at the same time? Or do you think it's more Jacob Ramsey will come back into the side and then Ollie Watkins, Rashford off the left, or as the 9? How do you see it?
Well, starting off obvious, I think the key for me in this one is Morgan Rogers. And I'd like to see him in that second striker role, second striker, number 10. And I say that because the key player for them, like I mentioned, is Vitinha. So when I look at Vitinha, he's a quality, skilled player, but what he lacks is size, strength, power. And these are things that Rodgers has in abundance, I would say. So I would try and get a matchup of Rodgers versus Vitinha as much as possible. PSG press pretty well, like a man-to-man press. So if we can get Vitinha matched up with Rodgers man-to-man, then that benefits us, especially if we, like I said, they are pressing well. We need to go a bit more direct, and we've got maybe like Rashford and Rodgers as well, who we can play the ball direct to. We'll be able to win an aerial against Vitinha, be able to hold him off, run with the ball. So that's the key one for me there is Rodgers, who I'd like to see a bit more central this game. And then because of that, I'd say up top with him, I'd probably go with Rashford. I just think he's just in form at the minute, so you have to go with whoever's in form. I think Watkins is probably a bit out of form, and it happens. So yeah, for me, I'd go Rashford and Rodgers. But yeah, as we were mentioning before, if we're going to be seeing a back 5, back 6 at times, I want kind of the wide players who can defend a bit. So I probably put Ramsey in there off the left. Again, I like his ball carrying, especially in transition, because that's where we're going to be getting the chances against PSG. Is running and attacking them empty spaces once they lose the ball. And then I'd probably go with McGinn as well. Away game in Paris, Champions League night. I think you need your captain sometimes on nights like those. And I like the way you can hold the ball up and play those long balls as well, up to your Rashford and Rodgers. In midfield, I think Tielemans plays every week. Don't need to say much about him. And I think Kamara is going to be key as well. Because like we were saying before about Ousmane Dembele dropping into the false 9 positions, dropping into midfield, you need someone who's going to have that awareness. And I think, Kamara's really got that, probably a bit over Onana, that kind of defensive awareness and reading of the game. So I'd have Kamara in there. And then defensive line, you've got Emi Martinez, obviously, Konsa, first names on the team sheet for me. Luka Dean, I'd put Luka Dean in there, just a bit more solid for the away game. Mings or Torres is a tough one. Could go either way for me. I wouldn't be too disappointed either way. I think Torres is just coming back. He had a brilliant game against Forest, I thought, but maybe I'd go with Mings just because he's maybe a bit more match sharp. And then right back, I think I'd go with probably Disassi. I'll probably start with Disassi. Keep it solid with 3 centre halves and a centre half at right back, so we got a bit more solidity in there for when we're defending 1-on-1. And I think set pieces will be key for us as well.
Yeah.
So having 3 centre halves in there, attacking set pieces as well will be massive for us.
Yeah.
And then like you say before, we've got so much off the bench, can change the game at any minute. And honestly, I wouldn't be too disappointed if some of the players who I haven't mentioned would get a start as well.
Yeah,
proper depth.
it is. It's scary how good our squad has just gotten now in terms of even just the names, but like the actual abilities as well. You're saying like Asensio not starting, which is one of our informed players, and could quite easily start. Yeah, it's the one good point, and like I agree with, and I think it might play into it as well. Because obviously you've got Bubba Kamara sitting, and then you've got Disasi and Digne at fullbacks. PSG strengths and where their French core are, if it's Doué, Dembele, Barcola, are in those positions where we've got French players who have played against these players before and kind of know their attributes as well, which could play into it, because like a Kamara playing in that defensive position, if Dembele is dropping into those areas, he knows, okay, Dembele is both-footed and how he played, but he'll have played against him many times in France, in training, etc. Similar with Lucas Digne on that left side, he'd have played. I saw him was playing with Barcola in the French squad in the last one, so he'll have identified what his weaknesses were to show him. And the same with Disasi as well, if it is Doué playing the other side. So I think that might help, because if it's Cash, say for instance, or Matson, they won't have played against him, they probably won't recognise it. They'll have been told, but they won't. So that may play a little part into it as well, and be, okay, they're not new to him, they've played against him for a number of years growing up, or etc. as well, and know how they like to play in their styles. But yeah, I don't know about you, bro. Any of your thoughts about the lineup as well? Don't know if you, bro.
Yeah, sorry, I was cutting out then. But from what I heard of what Earl was saying, I think I agree with the starting 11.
Yeah.
I think he said Ramsey and McGinn as the wide players, Rashford and Rodgers up front, and then Tielemans. Did you say Mings or Powell as a centre back? I didn't. I cut out. Sorry.
Either one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. It's so tough.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult. Boy, it's a difficult one. Honestly, like it's so difficult. I'm gonna say I'll say Powell just for the passing, but I think we'll lack the speed as well. So I don't know. It's a 50-50, but
I think when we're at home, I definitely go with Powell at home. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Powell, the ball for Duran against Bayern, that's the quality he possesses. When in a moment you can just change the game, and it's another passer, another player who's confident on the ball and can play through the lines. And sometimes we need that, especially on transition, to find that killer pass. You got Yuri Tielemans, obviously, and we saw the weekend what he can do playing that ball. But to have a centre back who can do that as well, it's just another weapon where we can turn defence into offence just like that. So yeah, but then
and I think
Mings is box defending and stuff. Like it's a toss up, isn't it? If how you want to do it, because there's going to be a lot of that as well.
Yeah. I think either one of them, Disasi at right back makes perfect sense. I think he's going to have to deal with their wingers constantly. Decent at slide tackling, decent strength. I think that's a no-brainer. We'll see him tuck inside and form the three at times as well, with Digne maybe pushing on a little bit if we do get the ball. And then I think we saw a glimpse of what Emery wants from the game with McGinn's substitution against Forest. I think we were going long often, and Emery was so frustrated that we weren't winning the second ball. But after rewatching the second half of that game, McGinn was winning his duels. He was getting more joy than what Watkins was earlier. So I think that ball to McGinn's going to be on. The 3-0 at Newcastle at home, if you remember that game, McGinn was winning every duel against the Newcastle defender. I think Emery's probably
against Dan Burn as well.
Against Dan Burn, I think it's going to be a calculated risk. I think that ball from either Powell or Martinez to McGinn's going to be on. Or as Earl said, to Rodgers as well, if we get him matched up with Vitinha. So I'm expecting Rashford, Rodgers, Ramsey, Tielemans, Kamara, McGinn. And then I'd say Dean, Powell, Konza, Disasi, Martinez. With a lot of players we can put off the bench.
It's a big point. It's a big point that you mentioned, because we have to be able to win those second balls and keep the ball. Otherwise, we're just going to be under the cosh the whole game. I mean, there was a period against Forest in that second half where we were, trying to clear the ball, trying to play out, but if you just keep losing and not winning them second balls, they just keep coming at you. And against a team like PSG, you can't let them build momentum like that. So when we have the ball, we've got to keep it as much as we can. We got to win them second balls every 50-50. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And as you're saying, I think it was Milenkovic on Watkins, and he was just eating everything up, and Forest just kept coming at us then from that point until, as you said, when McGinn came and it kind of changed a bit, and he was winning his duel. So yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating going into it. Obviously, we've got Leon Bailey, who's still a doubt, potentially could be in the squad. Ross Barkley as well, who's been training, but that's it as of now until United's presser. And then obviously from their side of things, I think Kangin Lee's still potentially injured, and then it's just Marquinhos who's suspended. So that's a bit of a experience they're lacking. Someone who's been there, done it at centre back. But again, their centre backs are very competent as are anyway. So yeah, it could be some spectacle. It could be indeed, and it's just getting through this away leg. If we can get through this away leg with, even if it's a narrow defeat, I think you give yourself a chance in that. Coming to Villa Park, I back up us against anyone at Villa Park. I really do, because there's evidence of it over the last 2 seasons of what we're capable of against any side at Villa Park. So yeah, if we can just get a point, get a draw, sorry, or just keep it by a narrow defeat, I think there's every chance we can do something at Villa Park. I don't know what your guys.
And bro, just to touch on one passage in the Forest game that might be crucial. Do you remember for the Rashford 1v1 how that came about? It was Tielemans central, plays it straight through to McGinn. First time pass over the top. McGinn's favourite left foot, curled round for Rashford 1v1. I think with McGinn tucking inside, if you just start on the right at times, like, could that be the way to get past PSG? Was that a training ground routine almost that we practiced, because that looked really good. Like 2-3 passes and we were there 1-on-1 with the keeper. So
McGinn's done that a few times. Was it Watkins when he played for Watkins for one? Was that against last season, or was it against Fulham? I think he played a first-time ball over the back.
West Ham. He did it against West Ham, didn't he, on the transition?
Was it West Ham? Not Fulham. I remember he's played that ball before.
I think it was the 4-1.
Yeah. He has that ability. He does have that ability. I remember he did it as well for Watkins against Brighton last season as well. He played a first and ball over the top to Watkins as well. So McGinn does have that ball playing ability, especially if he's on his left foot, and if he can do play a pass similar to that for Rashford, we could be in business. Anything else do you want to point out at all, or just your thoughts about this one just as a whole now?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it now. It's feels like it's been building up for a while, and we've had other games to try and focus on, but it's always been this one really in the mind. So I'm just looking forward to it now, and I guess even whatever happens in the first leg, it's the Champions League. Mad stuff happens in the Champions League. 3 or 4 goal deficits can get overturned in a second leg. So I think for me, whatever happens, we just got to stick with it and get through both legs of the tie.
Yeah. And what about you, bro?
I was never expecting us to get Champions League, bro, so soon, let alone quarterfinals. So I think you just embrace the moment, you just go with it, you try and enjoy it as much as possible, the build up and everything. Even just seeing our badge amongst like the other 17s, it's just like surreal for me. Like that always gets me. So yeah, enjoy the game. I'm gonna say a 1-1, bro. I think it's gonna be a 1-1. I think we're gonna get a draw, and we're gonna bring it back to Villa Park. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. That we can score from a set piece. I think our goal's gonna come from. So yeah, just gonna try and enjoy the game.
Come on,
and yeah, that's how it is, man. Like, come on, Villa. It's Emery. We know we're gonna have a game plan. At least we know we're gonna have a game plan, and we've got quality now in the side. So yeah, let's go, man. Let's just go.
And it's Unai's return. Is it? I don't know if he did play against them for Arsenal or Villarreal, but that's his former side as well. He's going to get some reception on his return there as well. Unai Emery. So there's a number of factors, as we've stated, just leading into this one. A lot of storylines, which could work in our favour for sure.
It's funny because he would never do like a Mourinho or anything. He'd just be straight down the tunnel if we knocked him out. And it's worse than the semi-final. Like, that's just how he is.
Just shake Enrique's hand, that's it. Nothing at all.
Yeah. Wouldn't even acknowledge the PSG fans. Just
nah, no chance. Anyway, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully this isn't a one-off. I would love to have you on more for sure. We appreciate you joining us. And do you want to just shout anything out yourself?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on as well. You can find me. I'm on Instagram as well at AVSC Scout if you want to drop me a follow. Probably don't post as much as I should, but yeah, I'm on there.
Yeah, analytical stuff. El's the man. And like
quality.
Over the years, quality stuff. The threads that El's produced, and I've been like, oh yeah, this is top quality. So yeah, if you want to follow, please do. And bro, yeah. We're excited, isn't it? There's no more. There's nothing more to say. Anyway, I don't think I said it at the start, but if you all could please like, it really helps us to grow the channel. So please do like the video. And if you're new here and you like the content, please do subscribe as well. Get your comments in the video after. I want to see what you guys are thinking about the game and your thoughts and feelings, how excited you are, and just how you think we'll set up and some key players who can be the difference for us going into this game. We'll have a match reaction as always, so look out for that as well. And hopefully it's one where we're coming back and saying, look, we're in it. We've got either a draw or a win and looking positive going into Villa Park. Once again, thank you all for joining, and up the Villa. See you in the next one.